As Nigerians continue to grapple with the rise in the cost of living, the Senate President Godswill Akpabio has called on citizens to hold state governors and local government chairmen accountable for the effective utilization of increased revenue allocations. Speaking at the joint graduation ceremony of the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, NILDS, and the University of Benin, he urged state houses of assembly to hold governors accountable for how they deploy the increased allocations. Akpabio said the National Assembly's enhanced oversight and legal reforms had significantly boosted revenue inflows to Consolidated Revenue Fund. This, according to him, in turn leads to higher allocation for both federal and state governments. Let's go in depth into this story as former national coordinator of Middle Belt Patriots, Zariyi Yusuf, joins me on the news. Zariyi, how does poor subnational governance contribute to Nigeria's broader economic hardship across states?
Thank you very much for having me. What you have as that poor governance at the subnational level basically is a reflection of what trickles down from the national level. I will not be one of those who would shift blame from those who have failed to fix the economy, basically pointing fingers at people who, I'd say, whose strength, whose political will or whatsoever it is simply a reflection of what comes from the top. I would first of all start by saying we are looking at polity, a situation where virtually every governor is doing everything possible to belong to the ruling party. We are looking at a scenario where everybody wants to ensure that in his statements, his comments, his speeches, whether launching a culvert, whether launching a new road or a village square he has built, he wants to ensure that he sounds pro-government, regardless of what exactly it is he's doing. So a situation where you ask the masses to look at their leaders at the subnational level, I think ordinarily, ideally, it should be the right thing to do. You know, those at the local government should be on their feet because they are immediately close to the masses, then the state governors, and then before you look up. But a culture has already been brought into place where, politically speaking, whoever thrives or doesn't thrive has a lot to do with how well he is pampered or he is he received at the presidency. Right. So when the economy fails, basically a party that rolled out policies that completely ripped the masses of any purchasing power, turning around to talk about looking at people at the subnational level, I think it's irresponsible. I think it's blame game. Basically, I'd say it's irresponsible, unfortunately.
The Senate President is using the increased allocation as a metric or as a yardstick for citizens to hold the subnational level accountable, and that's the governors as well as local government chairmen. So I have to ask you, what metrics or performance indicators should citizens then focus on if they were to heed to the advice of the Senate President to, assess their governors and local government chairmen? Should it be on the budget execution? Should it be on infrastructure delivery, poverty reduction, or others? And bear in mind, as we're talking about this, that these governors and local government chairmen also do have to pay salaries as well.
Yes, talking about salaries, a lot of whom, I don't know which states you'd go to, and then, and the civil servants are not, or the state governments are not owing the civil servants, salaries, meager as those wages are. You see, the singular act or the unfortunate statement, I'd say, from the chairman of the APC that, from 400 billion to 2.2 trillion, there's a lot of money to go around and all of that. It gives you an idea of the mentality of those who rule the country. Basically, it's all about allocation. It's all about share the money. Okay, so the thinking is just one way. Formerly, you got 10,000. Now you are having 500,000. So you should do more. Have they forgotten about what exactly happened? How much is a dollar, basically, to the naira? How much is a liter of fuel? How much is I mean, it's unfortunate that we're in a country where even the minimum wage cannot afford a bag of rice. So we are in an unfortunate situation where the government itself keeps saying things that don't make sense. For instance, they talk about infrastructure, which we don't see. They talk about a lot of things. And then what basically you are seeing today with the crashed prices of food items, people think it is a positive thing, but it's not. The reason is because farmers went as far as getting loans, went as far as borrowing money to raise these crops under harsh situation. And then all of a sudden they've gone to the market and the government decided to crash the prices. In other words, if he spent 100,000 naira to have 2 bags of rice that he hopes to spend to sell and possibly make 150 or 200 and then use the 50 to run his family, use the 50 to possibly save and then plan for, the next year. The government has crashed the prices. But it's not exactly as if fertilizer is cheaper. It's not exactly as if the place is secure and all of that. So we are dealing with a situation where I don't know if it's locally championed or it's internationally made. But then every day the masses are being put in a corner where they can't survive. So if actually there were parameters, standards, or a yardstick to which the government can actually say on this and this and this, we have fixed this, we have fixed this, we have fixed this, then we could discuss. But basically, they don't know what they are doing. So they just keep saying things that don't make sense. I mean, if you've watched the movie of Idi Amin, where he just print more money, basically, and that's the whole idea. So that basically is how they are doing it. And it doesn't really make sense. It's just unfortunate. They don't have any yardstick even to measure their own success.
Right.
We don't see good. There is no security. Nothing is cheap. Everything is just on a daily basis. The purchasing power of the masses, let's assume they're even left on their own to survive, is being shut down every day.
I mean, you've called out the Senate president's position and said it's double standards and pushing the blame. So given the federal structure of Nigeria, one has to ask, to what extent can the National Assembly or even the federal government itself influence state-level fiscal responsibility?
Rivers State is a typical example of what should answer that question. Primarily, a very rich state where it looks as if the federal government has turned it to a department of the presidency. So whatever it is that is structured at the state level, you can't divorce the issue of God. Before now, it was all about godfatherism and all of that. So somebody gets you into an office and he tells you, well, from whatever allocation comes, this settles this settles, because I'm trying to be as direct as possible so that we don't complicate our conversation with too much of intellectualism while the main issue is there. So it's all about different kinds of people doing what the government is doing now. And I need to be blunt about it. Basically, it's all about what comes in 2027. All of these things. So every state government, everybody has abandoned projects, everybody has abandoned planning, everybody has abandoned infrastructure, everybody is doing everything possible to ensure that he returns to office. And one of the ways is to form an alliance with this government that has overwhelmed basically everything. So their rhetorics with regards to fiscal planning, with regards to how much the allocation is now triple, and how the masses should now look at these people, their governors and their local government chairmen, and to hold them responsible. It practically is just rubbish. But in an ideal situation, this should actually be a call for people to say, all right, now you complained about money, you complained about this and that. Now the government has sorted that out. But all of these resources, to the best of my understanding, are not meant for the masses. They are meant for certain other things that basically will guarantee, would guard whatever it is they're doing in power against 2027. It is just so unfortunate. And then coming from the Senate president, I mean, people who borrow money and spend on luxury, it doesn't add up in any way. We are not dealing with an ideal situation. Basically, they are just rhetorics, and then we will just keep intellectualizing, but nothing basically is coming out of it.
Zariyi, I must say thank you for taking out the time to join us on the news this evening. Zariyi Yusuf is a former national coordinator, Middle Belt Patriots. Once again, thank you.